We are back for a second year in a row. I get to talk to you about your lovely LSU Tigers. Hopefully, this year will be better than it was last year. So I take no responsibility for that. But, anyways, so welcome everybody back to my college football series. If this is the first episode that you are going to be watching, you've missed some other episodes. So make sure you watch those. I decided to do things differently this year. Last year, I did the top 25. This year, I'm doing teams that I feel like are going to impact college football. And when I
Okay.
mean impact, that means if they lose, it's going to impact college football. And then if they win, they are going to impact college football because all I care about at this point is the college football playoffs because that is what we have come to. so,
Sadly.
so I have LSU here, obviously, with the arrival of Lane Kiffin, with the arrival of just everything that's happening in the SEC, going to 9 games, just all of the different things that are happening. LSU had to be on this list because I'm also interested. My team plays them. But seriously, depending on what happens this year, they could be in contention right there, kick somebody out. Like you just never know how this 9-game playing thing is going to go. So here we are. We are the test dummies for the 9-game season. So I will stop talking if you just want to introduce yourself, and then we'll just talk all about the LSU Tigers.
Dr. T, good to be with you. I am a Power Hour LSU, just hanging out with you for another great season. Congrats on all your success.
Thank you.
And yeah, we're excited for the big November affair between
Yeah.
LSU and Texas, the rematch that everybody in Baton Rouge has always wanted. Uh,
Really?
yeah, because you had the 2019 LSU game versus
Yep.
Texas. That was
Then it got canceled.
Yeah, so that was a big game in LSU lore.
Yeah.
Most people associate LSU with Alabama and the Clemson game from that season, but Texas was really the Joe Burrow coming out party in 2019, and then
Yeah.
in 2020, obviously, the vid happened, so they had
Hmm.
to not have the game, and now this is the first time Texas will be coming to Baton Rouge in recent memory, and my goodness gracious, we are so excited about that. And what's interesting about that matchup is obviously Arch Manning's heavy ties to the state of Louisiana,
Mhm.
Steve Sarkisian's ties to the LSU staff, and so on and so on. So, it's interesting. I do a lot of appearances, obviously, and the thing that I keep bringing up is LSU is every team's target this year. Whether that's justified or not, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin, being who he is, has brought a lot of attention to this program and to each individual matchup. And what's interesting, Dr. T, I'm going to keep calling you that. You told me
I
to
love
call you
I
that.
love it. Yeah,
To
I
me,
earned that, okay?
yeah, to me, it's a beautiful name, but Dr. T, I could roll with that as well.
Yeah.
It's fascinating because you look at every team LSU plays this year, it is that team's either most hyped up game for the season or no less than the top 2 or 3. So
Okay.
the thing is, you were mentioning the new 9-game conference schedule. I'm on an island. I love it. Nobody else
Okay.
likes it. That's okay. If you're scared, go home, right? If the
Yeah.
SEC means more, guess what? You're getting more, as in
Yeah.
more conference games. So you should look at this schedule from an LSU perspective as it's going to be really hard because motivation is going to be big this year. This
Mhm.
is the toughest schedule for pretty much everybody in the SEC ever. So if every team is really going to really get up to play you, even a team like Mississippi State, Jeff Lebby used to work with Lane Kiffin. That's not even a top 5, top 6, top 7 P4 game for most LSU fans this year. So you got to be ready. Mental
Yeah.
and physical toughness is going to be really big for this team.
Yeah. I also just love your mention of 2019 because I feel like as Texas fans, I always hear about it, but I always wonder if like LSU people remember it, think about
Yeah.
it, because it was a dogfight. And if you're new to college football, you have no clue what we're talking about. But like I mean, it got dicey for a little bit
Yeah.
there. So I appreciate that. Do you think I believe it's going to be a night game if everything works out the way they think it's going to work out? I feel like that game's gonna be a night game. What do you think? They haven't
Yeah.
announced it yet, but okay.
Yeah. It'll either be a 3:30 kick, and lucky enough in November it gets dark, so you
Yeah,
will get some night-ish time if it goes into the fourth quarter or
yeah.
late into the fourth quarter or overtime. But yeah, I think they're going to want that to be a night kick.
If you are seeing this lovely video, don't forget to make sure that you hit the like button. Don't forget to check in the description section so that you can find all of our socials and all the ways to keep in contact with us. And if you want to really engage, leave us a comment in the comment section below. Now let you get back to your video.
And it's fascinating how the kickoff windows worked for LSU this year, because Alabama the week before used to be the biggest game. It's still an absolutely massive game. LSU and Alabama have had their bye week before they play each other every year since 2010, which is insane to think about. But so many people are excited for LSU versus Texas. They really, really, really are. My biggest supporter is a Texas professor, and he has very close ties to Baton Rouge. So shout out to Dr. Butler. But the truth is, every game is just so important with the 9-game conference schedule, and on top of that, the playoff not expanding. So when you're looking at the SEC as a whole, this is going to be one of the best seasons we have ever seen in college football, because you have some real scarcity when it comes to the college football playoff, where it used to be only a 4-team playoff. Now it is still a 12-team playoff, but everybody's schedule got that much harder. So it's a big year not only for every team in the SEC, but it's a big year for Greg Sankey, who is a big driving force to go to a 9-game conference schedule.
100%. So tell me about what is the biggest storyline you think surrounding this LSU team this year?
Easily, it's the Ole Miss game in week 3. This is the most hyped college football regular season game, especially as early as it's happening in the season, that we have ever seen. It's just that simple, because when you think of the big marquee matchups in college football, and obviously there have been some big ones, we focus mostly on November, December, and October, but this one is extremely early in the season. So obviously with Lane and his ties to Ole Miss, that has really sucked a whole lot of the oxygen out. To me, looking at this, it's just one game on the schedule. So many people last year, LSU versus Clemson, everyone said, well, LSU's got to win that game. Well, guess what? They won that game. Clemson ended up not being that good, and LSU ended up not being that good. So I think it's a dangerous game, even though rightfully so, this game is very, very, very hyped. Guess what? LSU, you got to play Texas A&M the very next week in Tiger Stadium. So the actual ebbs and flows and how Lane actually emotionally manages this team is going to be absolutely massive. And look, I'm excited about the Ole Miss game. Ole Miss fans have come after me. Obviously, that's justified in some aspects with some of the things I've said. But the truth is, I enjoy it. I'm glad that the Magnolia Bowl is now the biggest it's ever been because of the Lane storyline. But it's also a thing where you really can't just focus in on that game, because the schedule is going to be so brutal for LSU.
Okay, I respect that. What do you think the strength is of this team? Like, what do you think is going to define this season for your football team? What do you think when you look at them, what are you thinking? Like, you know what? Yeah, we got that thing. What is that for you?
Yeah, obviously you start with the stars. LSU, spent up in the portal, and they got the best transfer portal quarterback in Sam Leavitt. I actually personally had Sorsby slightly ahead of Leavitt, but Sorsby won't be playing this season, as everyone knows. So I feel LSU did get the best transfer portal quarterback. You have the best transfer portal left tackle in Jordan Seaton. You have the best transfer portal pass rusher in Prince Will Ellen coming over from Ole Miss. And then you still have the other stars on this team. Trades Green is probably the most hyped tight end we've had in a while in college football. And then you have Whit Weeks on the other side of the football as the stud linebacker coming back, hopefully healthy for the Blake Baker defense. So the stars are really what's going to carry this team. And then after the stars, you have to look for who is that next emerging star. A guy like Jace Brown coming over from Kansas State is a guy I'm really high on at wide receiver. Winston Watkins also transferring at the wide receiver position, coming over from Ole Miss. It's going to be pretty awesome. Then you go to the defensive side of the football. Who is going to emerge as not only a role player, but a star? And I focus in on the star of the defense, which in Blake Baker's terminology is the nickel corner. And the guy that everyone's sleeping on is Deshaun Spears. This is a former top 100 recruit who is extremely rangy, extremely athletic. had his breakout game last year versus Florida, only played 9 snaps, but was SEC Defensive Player of the Week. This
Hmm.
is a young man who has really, really, really high upside. And I think him being put into this defense will really help LSU mitigate the losses that they had in the secondary with AJ Halsey and first round
Mm.
pick Mansour Delane.
Yeah. Okay. So, what is something that concerns you when you're looking out and you're kind of like, okay, I'm not sure how this is going to go? What is something that's just top of mind that I don't want to say keeps you up at night? That's so dramatic, but something that you think about often when you look at this LSU team.
Well, I told you before I was up until 5 in the morning, and we're like 6 hours later after that. So I was up at night, and I was
Yeah.
actually thinking
No,
about
you were
this.
thinking of that.
I don't know if that was telepathy or not, but the big one is the same thing that everybody is focusing in on at every single college football team is the offensive line and some of the
Mm,
holes that might be there. So take Texas for instance. Everyone's Texas has had some of the best offensive lines in the country. Feel good about Trevor Gooseby, right?
mhm,
But there's other holes on that offensive line you have to
mhm,
fill in. Same thing is true for LSU. I mean, this was the worst, not only offensive line I've ever seen at LSU last year, it was the worst position group I have ever seen at
mm.
LSU. So, you go back to the year 2000, there have been 208 position groups,
Wow.
whether it be O line, running back, quarterback, whatever. This was the worst. And it's really hard to rebuild an offensive line in just 1 year, even if your
Mhm.
system is as prolific as Lane's system actually is. And um, shameless plug here, but I teamed up with a company to put together a college football magazine centered around the LSU Tigers. People can buy
Okay.
it. Go to my Twitter account. You can find the link at Power
Yeah,
Hour.
I'm putting the link in the description so that you
Yeah,
can
for
buy it.
sure.
So there's that.
And the big thing I wrote about in there was the good news, if you're an LSU fan, is Lane Kiffin's system is very offensive line friendly.
True.
I know not everybody's a pro football focus fan. I disagree with some of the things that they grade, but Lane really never had elite individual offensive linemen while he was at Ole Miss. Now he had good offensive lines, but he
Mhm.
didn't have, a Jordan Seaton or anyone like that. So the good news is, let's just say LSU's offensive line isn't as good as it was last year. You feel good about Lane and Charlie scheming around that to a certain degree. And as long as your offensive lineman, let's say at left guard, Bo Bordelon's a guy that could start. This is his 5th year in the program, and he's never really been a regular starting player for LSU.
Okay.
If you can get decent play, you should be fine offensively if you are LSU. Because people get offensive line play wrong all the time. It's not about who your best player
All the
is.
time.
It's who your weakest link is. There's been a
Yep.
lot of studies done on this in the NFL. It's stuff I've seen in college as well. If you have a weak link on an offensive line, these defensive coordinators are so damn good now that they'll find it and they will
Yep.
spam it with
Over and
dif-
over and over.
with different types of cross dog blitzes,
Mhm.
double mug pressures, and all of that. So uh, that is obviously the big weakness, a potential weakness of this team. But I think LSU will be able to work around that. And then
Okay.
obviously you look at running back, right? LSU doesn't have a bona fide 1,000-yard returning rusher, but they do have a litany of really talented backs. Caden Durham, I'm really high on. He's from Texas. Harlan Berry's from Louisiana. He's going into year 2 of his career. Very talented, former 5-star recruit. But the name that is kept getting popped up is Dylan Jones, a transfer from Wisconsin. Now, what makes Dylan different than the other two backs is Dylan is how I like a running back. He's thick, right? I
Okay.
like my running backs thicker than cold peanut butter. The SEC is a force equals mass times acceleration league, Dr. T. And you can't just have smaller backs. And
Right.
LSU with Barry and Durham, they weren't big guys. Dylan Jones is over 210. So he's going to be a big piece for this LSU offense going into next year.
Okay. I love that. That's a good and I agree with you. I like my running backs thick too. I like yeah. So
You
I will
got to have it, man.
yeah, I
It's
need you
so
to have a little
important.
something. Yeah.
And I know everyone keeps bringing up, well, the 9-game conference schedule. It's big. I mean,
Mhm.
you think about the big differences in college football this year. For the SEC, obviously, you're adding the extra conference game. But not only are you adding the extra conference game, you're adding this when the validity of the SEC is being questioned more than it's ever
Correct.
been because of the
Yeah.
national championship drought.
Hmm.
And you're also throwing in here that this is not a double bye season. The
Right.
last 2 seasons in the SEC, we've had 2 bye weeks,
Hmm.
and there's going to be a lot of casual football fans being like, well, I'm going to go check out Dr. T. I'm not,
Yeah.
I got to get my football fix. Dr. T is back doing those season previews. And what are they going to say? What are they going to see? Holy crap, I'm used to having 2 bye weeks. No,
Right.
you're only getting one of these bad boys this year. So this is going to be a crazy year trying to manage that, and the teams that manage that the best will be the ones that prevail.
Facts. Cool. Well, what are people not like? What is one thing outside of the fan base that you're thinking people are like misunderstanding or they're not talking about enough when it comes to the team, or just something that you're like, every time y'all talk about my team, y'all don't even understand whatever that is for you? What is that for LSU?
Yeah, it's this crazy narrative that LSU is in a national championship or bust year this year. I mean, this has been repeated by multiple national analysts now during SEC media days, and it's insane to me. And it's insane to say this when Lane himself went on the most prominent former player hosting a podcast now, which is Tyrann Mathieu. And Lane was on there and said, "Yeah, I've got to win a national championship here." It's me paraphrasing. So guess what? It wasn't enough. The national media had to just absolutely hammer home. LSU fans are going to need to demand a national
Yeah.
championship in year one. Now, I've not had one, and I've got every LSU YouTuber has delusional fans. That has not been brought up once, like not a single time. I mean, like I have heard every crazy thing in the dictionary, and there are LSU fans that think LSU is winning the national title in year one, but there's not one
Oh,
that's been so delusional that LSU fans are going to, you know, race to Dalrymple Drive with pitchforks, storm Nicholson and make LSU go to the national championship in year
right.
one. Yeah, this is a big year. There are a lot of 1 year rentals that were very expensive. I get that, but it's not a be all end all for LSU fans to make a deep run in the college football playoff. What they want, Dr. T, is just a competent offense. That's
Yeah.
basically it. And I've written about this, right? I understand that comes like very spoiled for me when you had Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels just in the last 6 seasons. But Lane's offense has averaged 6.2 yards per play every year during his Ole Miss tenure. That never happened with any other SEC team in every single one of those seasons. And he did this at Ole Miss. So
Hmm.
I'm really excited to see what Lane's going to do with this offense. But, the one thing people need to understand if you're not an LSU fan, I'm in this every single day. There's not a single fan that is demanding a national championship in year one. Now, if Benjamin Watson and Jordan Rodgers and whoever else says this wants to say, hey, LSU needs to win a national championship in the first 3 or 4 seasons,
That's
sure.
fair.
That's
Yeah.
it's it's
Yeah. Yeah.
more than fair, or
Yeah.
reach the national championship game. But in year one, in a crazy sport like this where anything could happen, I mean, Indiana and Miami was not picked by anybody last year.
Right.
Almost
Right.
was not picked to be in a Final Four by anyone last year. So this sport is wacky, and you got to embrace it.
Yeah. What is a bold prediction you have about the team this year?
Yeah, I'm going to give you one positive and one negative. I think
Oh, okay.
the bold prediction is I do think LSU is a 9-3 football team with a
Okay.
slight lean towards 10-2. I tend to not think of games as binary. Hey, I'm going to pick you to win this game, or I'm going to pick you to lose this game. College football now, with the talent being flattened out, is a little bit more toss uppy, if you
Mhm.
will. But yeah, I would say my prediction of 9-3. I feel pretty good about that. With a slight lean to 10-2 and getting into the college football playoffs. One slightly negative opinion is LSU has a higher likelihood of dropping one of these P4 games versus a team that nobody really thinks is good this year because of what we
Yeah.
said a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
It's going to be so extremely difficult to get up to play every single one of these games when
Mhm.
every other team wants to absolutely beat Lane Kiffin. So let's take Mississippi State, right? That's a home game. Mississippi State's got a ridiculously talented group of skill position guys. Is it out of the ordinary that Mississippi State could find a way to win a morning kick in that point of the season? It's not out of the ordinary, right?
Right.
Kentucky's going to be a difficult game. That's on the road, a night game, if you will. Kentucky with Will Stein should be, better this season. You also got Auburn. That's a game that everyone's
Mhm.
predicting LSU to win. So I feel as if this is a schedule that is reasonable. But I do think LSU has a higher likelihood of dropping one of those types of games than people think.
Okay. That's definitely bold. So,
No, it's
let's get
bold
to some.
because
Yeah.
because every season prediction preview you see, LSU for sure is going to beat Tennessee at night. I don't know that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a
No, you're
very
right.
that's a very difficult spot, and that game could be in the afternoon, by the way. But you know, they got to play Texas and they got to play Alabama in the 2 weeks prior. Those games are home games, but now you got to go on the road versus Tennessee.
Mhm.
Very difficult offense to play against. Heupel will have those guys, steaming at the end of the season. And we all know what happened the last time Lane went to Tennessee. It was golf balls and mustard going everywhere.
Yeah.
So it it's with the target on your back, it just makes it that much more difficult.
Yeah. No, I respect it. And one that I agree with you. That's why I decided not to do 25 teams. But also, when I did my predictions this for my teams this year, I was like, I put everybody in buckets because I'm like, I
Oh,
can't. I'm not here to say win or loss because honestly, we don't know who anybody is. We just don't know anymore.
yeah.
So I'm like, this is what I think. By where the team is in the season. Like, so it really depends on the year. You like you said, you just honestly never know. And depending on if you like that, you love it, and if you don't like it, you're kind of like, eh. So we'll see how it all plays out. I mean, one thing I
Yeah.
know for sure, we'll all be watching.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we will
So
all
what
be
give
watching.
me your thoughts on LSU. I mean, you are a doctor, by the way. So
Yeah. I'm actually I have when I say I don't have concerns about the offense, that doesn't mean I think the offense is going to be exceptionally great. It just means I think Lane will figure out the offense. So for me, the offense I feel like is going to figure itself out. Now, I think it's going to depend on how Leavitt is able to trust his offensive line because this
yeah,
will be the first time for him that he's leaving where he was to go to something new. So, and I'm not in it enough to know like those relationships and how that offensive line building connection and all that is working. So I think offensively they should be okay. I'm actually more concerned about them defensively just because that's not Lane's strong suit. And
yeah,
last year just did not look like an LSU defense by really any measurable. I mean, obviously they're always going to be athletic and all the
yeah,
things, but it just didn't look like a team defense. So for me, that's going to be LSU's biggest challenge is figuring out that defense because I expect Lane to figure out the offense. As long
yeah,
as Levitt is able to kind of come in, because this is his first transfer, like transferring is fun. And then it's your first one. And now you're like, okay, this is new. These are new people. This is a new program. This is a new system. This is a new coach. This is new everything. So I'm interested to see how Levitt is going to transition into better competition also because
yeah.
he's coming off that injury. So, and I don't know if you've ever been injured before, but it's once you're healed, now it becomes all mental all the
No,
time.
I've been
Can
hurt
you
before. I
yeah.
stubbed my toe on the side of the bed this morning. I
Yeah,
mean,
like every other morning. Yeah,
and
and it's like, could I put weight on that toe?
yeah,
Like,
and
am I gonna?
I had to sit and hang out with the wonderful. I am throbbing, in agony down here.
Yeah.
A few things about that. So Levin has transferred before he began his career at Michigan State.
Oh,
But
I didn't realize he
yeah, yeah, yeah.
transferred into Arizona State. Okay.
Yeah. So I think I think there is a lot of mystery around Sam. So like he wasn't picked to speak at SEC media days. I don't think it's that big
Yeah.
a deal. Uh, and I know it's not that big a deal to Sam or anyone. But for me, I think Sam's going to be fine. Sacks went up last year. I don't think that was really a him thing. You really need to watch those sacks. Some of those sacks were on him. Some of those were he really couldn't do a whole lot with what he
Yeah.
had in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think Sam honestly is going to be pretty good. I'm not just saying that just to say it. I'm willing to say where and I'm willing to say where LSU is bad or
Yeah.
good. I do think Sam with Lane and Charlie is going to have and Dane and the whole brain trust. They're going to do a great job with Sam going into next year. And as far as the defense is concerned, look, Blake Baker was heavily recruited by Lane. This is something I wrote about in the book that's coming out for the season. So Blake was deciding on, and this is defense coordinator Blake Baker. So Blake was deciding on, hey, am I actually going to take a head coaching job at Tulane? He was also pursued by other jobs, but that's a different story for a different day. And Lane canceled a college game day appearance during the SEC championship weekend to convince Blake Baker to come back to LSU. And not only did they do that, they gave Blake Baker a raise.
That's
So
good.
now the pressure is really high on Blake Baker. Yeah, you lose Mansour Delane. Yeah, you lose AJ Halsey. Those two are all-time greats at LSU. And I don't use that lightly. They really were that good for the Tigers last year. And you also lose some good role players, a guy like Jack Piper and so on and so on. So this is a big year. And
Yeah.
you look, what has been the big thing for Blake Baker? He has really struggled with quarterback mobility. Now, look, every great defensive coordinator has always struggled with the dual threat quarterbacks, right? That
Mm-hmm.
was famously Nick Saban's kryptonite during his time in
Mm-hmm.
Alabama. But the truth is, Blake Baker has been alarmingly worse than expectation when it comes to stopping the QB scramble and run game. So if he can be better in that department, that can help mitigate losing Delane and losing Halsey, who were so big
Yeah.
for the LSU secondary last year. So really pumped up to see what Blake's going to do this year.
Yeah, I'm excited. I like I said, I think it's going to be a fun year. Like I am fired up. I just want to see it. And the transfer portal era, I know a lot of people don't like it, but to me it adds a different level of dynamics where you're like,
Yeah.
okay, let's see what this looks like. Every year you don't really know, and I kind of like that. And that's why I'm tired of people picking games based on like the logos. Like we don't know you know
Yeah.
what's on the team because you know the names. You have no clue what this team is about to do. You just don't know. So until you see it all. So awesome. So who are you let's get into the fun questions. Who are you excited to watch this season not named LSU? Like who is somebody that you're just kind of watching in the background that you're like, I'm just interested to see what they have going on this year.
Well, let me give you a Texas one. I was so sky high on Colin Simmons. I mean, I don't know if I've ever been more enamored with a pure pass rusher like him. Now, obviously, there's Jadeveon Clowney's high school tape, which will never be touched. But
Yeah.
but Colin Simmons was one of the best movers coming out of Duncanville I've ever seen, and I got chills when I knew LSU was in it for him. But he'd stay with Texas and is a special college football player. And
Yeah.
I know like the NFL guys are going to say, well, he's not the biggest guy and all of that. I don't give a damn. This is a
Yeah.
very fun football player. I also like Burke on the defensive line. I know he's gone for Texas, but man, that Texas defense should be a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
it's fascinating that Steve Sarkisian let go of Kwiatkowski, who was good,
Hmm.
and he is going to Will Muschamp. And, I found it interesting. You said something earlier that I think about a lot, and it's branding, right? College football is a brand sport, right?
Hmm.
People get excited when Texas is good or LSU is good, or everyone wants Nebraska to get back to the '90s Tommy
Yeah.
Frazier years and all of that. But branding also matters with your name, right? And
Hmm.
Muschamp is a name, and what is he going to do? I mean, that is the big question for this Texas defense. That should be pretty good with Taff and everyone back there. So that's a team I'm excited to watch. I'm also excited to see South Carolina this year. This is a team that, we're talking about quarterback and pass rusher duos. Everyone talks about Arch and Simmons. Well,
Hmm.
yeah, you have arguably the best one in the SEC here with Stewart and Lenore Sellers. So I'm interested to see what Kendall Briles is going to do. He comes over from Arkansas. This is a pretty big time play caller in
Hmm.
Kendall Briles. I don't think people understand how prolific he's been. Obviously, you probably do because he was at TCU, but
Yeah.
he should be pretty good this year for South Carolina. So just a little sleeper year with the coach that everyone considers to be on the hot seat in Shane Beamer.
Yeah. Okay. Love it. So every team has one thing that they feel like if I could just steal him and plop him on my team, everything would be a little bit better and a little bit easier. Who in college football would you love to just take from somebody else's team and put them right on LSU's team?
Well, I
Anyone.
outside of quarter, I think everybody would say Jeremiah Smith or Colin Simmons, either one of those
Yeah.
two. I think those are pretty
Those are the
obvious.
2. Okay.
But I mean, I would have loved to have seen Kwan Lacey come over
Ooh, that's a good one.
to
Yeah.
LSU, but it adds extra juice, right? Because
Mhm.
one under the radar thing is there was a direct trade with running backs coaches, right? One that was very iconic with LSU and Frank Wilson. Now he goes to Ole Miss, where he had ties
I
with the
didn't
coaching
realize
staff.
that.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
now Ole Miss's running back coach Kevin Smith comes over. Many consider Kevin to be the best at it right now. He's at LSU, got a raise, associate head coach. So that's going to be fascinating seeing how
Yeah.
that dynamic plays out.
Okay, I didn't realize that. That's awesome. So, what 3 words do you hope to find the season this year? Not championship, not winning, but like just give me 3 words. Or somebody gave me a 3-word sentence that you hope defines the
Oh,
season this year.
an economy of words. I feel like Jerry Seinfeld cutting a bit here. Just give me 3 words. Um, let's see. 3 words. Oh, here we go. It's not just an LSU thing. It's
Okay.
it's it's just an overarching thing with the SEC. And that's actually 4 words. I didn't prep for this question. I forgot
Okay.
that you actually sent me questions.
It's
Uh,
okay.
it just means more, but
Got it.
it means more. All right.
Yeah.
That's it. Right.
Okay.
And one more is natty or bust when it comes to the SEC. Will an SEC team actually win the national championship for the first time in 4 years?
Are you a conference homer? Like if there's an SEC team in there, no matter who it is, will you cheer for them?
No. I
Okay.
think that's
Okay.
nonsensical.
Yeah, some people are like that. It amazes me. That's why I'm like just curious.
Yeah, and I do know more people on like SEC staffs and all of that. So yeah, I mean, I'm rooting for them personally, but
Yeah.
like it's one of those things where it's not really like that big of a deal. If Alabama's in it, I definitely do not want them to win. If Florida is in it, I would.
What if
Mm-mm.
it's Texas? You'd have to think about it. You'd have to think about it.
I mean, I'm not going to respond. I want you to cut my mic. I don't want Dr. T to be like, I'm banning Carter from Austin. I'm never letting him have Terry Black's
That's
barbecue
awesome.
again.
That is awesome.
I'm never letting him go to
Um,
Sixth
if
Street again. You're going to 21st Street.
That's
You're
funny.
going.
If Texas is the team that wins the national championship for the SEC conference, are you kidding me? Are that would like they would try to kick us out. They would be like, "Get out of here!" Like, thank you,
Well,
but no, thank you. So,
I
it's
think
okay.
I think it's interesting because everyone says the most pressure is on Lane this year, and I just could not like disagree more. Like
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
I think there's like what I would call like casual pressure, where it's like, okay, if you're a casual, sure, if LSU's not that great, Lane still has another season at the very least.
Right.
I think Steve Sarkisian's under the most pressure. I really do think so because it's unjust pressure because he's won a playoff game in 2 of the last 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And you look at the playoff games that he lost to eventual national champion Ohio State, and then the year before, Michael Penix played, a Joe Burrow level game,
Ridiculous.
and I don't say that lightly.
Yeah.
Penix was that unfreaking believably good, and there's just not many teams that would have beaten him that night in New Orleans. So
Yeah.
I it's still there though. Sark has got to at least in the minds of many actually break through and get this thing done with Arch and Colin and Cam Coleman, who I
Yeah.
adore. I'm also a big Cam Coleman guy. So really excited to
Oh,
see.
okay.
Oh,
Yeah, so then you'll be cheering for Texas. Okay, that's fine. You said enough. It's fine. You don't have to say anything. It's fine.
well,
I
I don't know.
understand now.
No, no, no. Hold on. I don't know if I'm going to be. I don't think I can root for anything burnt orange. I cannot. I know
I love this.
when you think of burnt orange, you think of Lacey with 3 Y's in her name, with a burnt orange top, drinking a pumpkin spice latte. That's the only time you ever see burnt orange in the
And
the
a
wild.
pumpkin spice latte.
That's
I
the only
love
time. Let,
it.
let me ask you this, Dr. T, Tanisha. What, how many outside of Texas gear? How many burnt orange garments do you have?
You don't, because it's just Texas all the
It's
time.
just you see. That's what I'm saying.
That's it. We are the brand. We
You
are the
never.
color.
You and Thanksgiving. That's it. Like,
Right. We just need to call it. The color should actually be called Texas Longhorns. Who cares about burnt orange? Just call it
yeah,
Texas Longhorns.
that's fine. Do you get offended before we? And I'm going to use a word every for those that don't know,
Oh.
my word that I use all the time is skedaddle. So
Oh, okay.
before that is my favorite
Before we
favorite.
skedaddle.
Do you ever do a skedaddle? Do you ever use the word skedaddle?
No.
You're going to use it for the rest of your life now because it rolls off
Okay.
the tongue beautifully. Before we skedaddle here, I actually forgot what I was going to say. Do you, let me ask you this as far as college football.
Yeah.
Are you
It was something about me being offended.
No. I
Oh.
want you to because I know you like the NFL as well.
Yeah.
Do you still like college football like as much as you used to?
Yeah, I do.
No?
I like the competition.
Okay.
So for me, I don't look at it as I feel like some people live in life where they're like, oh, all these things are different. I'm like, I live in a world where I'm like, yeah, they're different, and let's see how it makes it better. I don't
Yeah.
feel like different has to mean bad. I feel like different means it's different and you change with it. That's just how
Yeah.
I live my life. But yeah, I still love it. I mean, I still get butterflies, week 0, getting excited for week 1. Like I still love it. And I think that everybody that's whining and complaining, quite frankly, just needs to get over themselves. Like it's football. If you don't like it, go watch soccer. Go watch freaking basketball season. Go get excited for basketball season. Like you don't have to watch it.
Why'd you take a shot at soccer? Was that
No,
a
I'm
shot?
just saying, like,
Go on.
because the World Cup just happened, so I'm like, it's top of mind. But it's like, go watch something else. Go watch swimming. Go watch tennis. Like, go do something else. If you don't get excited about college football because it's changing and you don't like the change, you don't have to watch it. Don't watch
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this, Dr. T. You're really good at this. You're very
Thank you.
you're better at this than I am. I just skedaddle in and out of streams all the time. Yeah, and you have full license to use skedaddle as many times as you want.
Do I need to tag you and be like, I use your
You
word?
you could be like, oh look, there's a arch skedaddling out of the pocket, making a deep throw to Cam Coleman. But one line. I know I've talked about Texas a lot, and you can clip
Yeah.
and I'm going to be watching a lot of Texas football this year because there's just a lot of the guys that. Like I flag planted really hard. Cam Coleman, like I did not think Cam Coleman was that far off from Jeremiah Smith when they were coming
Yeah.
out, and I
That's
still
fair.
don't think that. Like I think the Cam's a little bit closer to Jeremiah than people want to say. Okay,
Yeah.
and then obviously Colin Simmons was just such a big flag plant for me. So like I'm like man, and I also said that I felt Arch was a little overvalued, which sucks because I'm a big Manning guy. So like those 3 players are really flag planted, and I hope all 3 of them have good seasons this year, but in particular Cam and Colin, because it'll be like, dang, Carter's smart. He knows what to look for in a college tackle football player. So I there's a piece of me that does want Texas to do well, and then LSU Texas be like one of the biggest regular season games we can remember. So
yeah,
I appreciate you. You keep up doing the great work, all the doctoring and the awesome things that you've been doing. And yeah, if you ever need me, I'm always here for you. Okay.
Yeah. No, and I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for making me laugh, and just thank you for being awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And give me your best go Tigers. I know you got it in you.
I've never said that a day in my life. You
But
do
you
it.
want to.
I'll end as soon as you do it. Go for
Do what?
I'll end as soon as you say it. I'll hit the button.
No, you got it. I'm not. You didn't read that in the contract. I replied in an email. It said before I skedaddle off the stream, you gotta.
You know what? I will say before you skedaddle, you should give me a go Tiger.
All right, you said it. That's good enough.
There you go.
There you go.